hinder you. Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. You're a woman without limits. Woman, 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 woman without limits. Na 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 na. Woman without limits. Woman.
What happens when the very, very person that you trust goes against you and you're such a child that you don't even know where to begin, who to tell, how you can handle such big things that you thought would never happen to you because you trusted this person? And what happens when your trust is totally shattered, not just broken, but completely shattered? On today's program, Woman Without Limits, we're going to hear this amazing story and we see how God has turned it around. And if you're in that predicament whatsoever, wherever you are, Woman Without Limits is here to help you get out of that quagmire and get out of that pain and know that God is a healer. I'm Reverend Kiuna, and you're welcome.
Rise up from a low self-esteem. Get restored. Rise up from poverty. Get restored. Rise up from tears. Begin to laugh. Get up from behind. Begin to be lifted up. Rise up from being single. Your marriage is here. Rise up from being barren. Your children are here. Rise up. It's your season. The Bible says she went back in the time of harvest. I decree you have sowed enough.
On today's program, we have an amazing woman. Her name is Karimi. I met her a few years ago, and we've done some beautiful work together. We're going to get to know her even more. Karimi, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you.
There's something that you're doing in Tigoni.
Tigoni.
What is that?
Tigoni was, I went for a trauma healing workshop. Yeah, so we had other people, so everybody has some kind of trauma that we may not even be aware of.
Right.
So Tigoni was actually, I was being trained on how to be a trauma healer or a facilitator in terms of helping people who've gone through trauma to heal. Yeah, it was a brief, but I will continue now to take it further, but it was a workshop in Tigoni at that time, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're an ardent reader.
Yeah.
What drove you there? Because you say you started reading from a very tender age.
Yeah.
And how come? Is it just an interest? Were your parents like that?
No, well, my mom used to read to us when we were young. She would read, I remember the first book she read was Oliver Twist, and she'd read it in English, and then now tell us the story in Kimeru. That's my first language. But the interest came in when I started learning how to read. I really wanted to read, and I kind of actually got addicted, which I understand is a healthy addiction.
Yes.
Because I went through something, and reading was my way of escaping from everything. I went into a different world that I felt safe and comfortable, and I got so addicted that I would read, like every waking moment I'm reading something. Books were never enough, and I remember when I was in primary school, like class 4, 5, I read, it was a small library, but I read all the books, and the head teacher said, you know what, because I was locked up in the library at one time, And it got dark. I went near a window that had a light from outside, and I read. And then it got really dark, and then I started knocking. So the watchman came and opened and said, "You will be in trouble because you are locked in the library. People, others are in the prep, and they are sleeping and all." So the following day, I was taken to the head teacher, and instead of being punished, he told me, "What is it that you read? You're always reading. What is it that you're reading?
Yeah.
Can you tell me the story you were reading about yesterday?"
Wow.
So I told him the story, and he said, and the other day before, because I would actually read sometimes 2 books in a day. I'd just be done.
In a day.
Yes.
What?
Which meant I was missing out on some lessons, because
Yeah.
sometimes it's math lesson, and I have a book in the textbook of the math lesson, and I'm in the middle of another world reading. It was actually an addiction that
Of sorts.
Of sorts.
So
yes.
you'd get lost in a world of reading and just read.
Read, and I would not be able to really relate to the real world when I'm not reading. When I'm out, in my normal state, I would have to read to be normal. Which meant I was made the library prefect and had to keep restocking the books because they were always running out.
So you were reading as you were restocking?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
How was your relationship with your grandmother growing up?
Very close, I would say. She's still alive, thank God. For her, she's 98. We are very close.
She's 98.
She's 98. She looks 70.
Really?
Oh, and she loves it when you tell her she looks 70.
Every
Yeah.
woman loves it when you tell
Oh,
them they
yeah.
look young.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she-
Oh, but that's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Very close. She would tell me stories and would ask a lot of questions, and we are still very close. Yeah, I would say it's a wonderful relationship. Everybody,
Wow.
all the grandchildren know Karimi is her favorite.
Yes.
Yeah. Like if you visit her today with some shopping, she'll be like, "Oh, did Karimi send you?"
Oh,
Tell her,
really?
"Thank you."
Wow. So she's coherent.
Everything. She's coherent. She walks to church. Yes, she
Wow.
walks to church. The last time I had visited and we wanted to go to church, so I told her, "Get in, we drive to church." She lectured me. She told me, "Oh, we walk. You don't drive to church. It's right there."
Yes.
It's not right there for a 98-year-old woman, but
Yeah. That's
she's blessed.
amazing.
We are so blessed because she's still coherent. She tells her stories. Of course, now she'll be quite tired
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah.
So she
Sometimes
she
they
wants
just
to
sleep
attend to her
anyhow.
garden before. Yeah.
Yeah.
She used to be a very early riser. Nowadays she sleeps in and wakes up a little late. But
Yeah.
she's blessed.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. You love children.
I
You're
do.
almost like a child campaigner.
I do. Someone called me an advocate.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, yeah. What's your how is it that you love children so much?
I feel I have been, anything I've gone through and the life I've lived has always been to really use everything to give voice to the children. I feel children are, and this is really, they are the foundation. I think even in the traditional African setup, children are the foundation of our future. So if we don't really take care of the children when they're young, they will become anything. They'll become a menace to society. They can turn into anything when they are not taken care of foundational stages when they're growing. So there are times I feel like I'm really part of that children, and I feel my purpose is to really be able to help children or be a voice or provide a voice for them. Actually, my organization, I founded Young with Productions, deals with taking the works of children and publishing them because they have amazing stories themselves.
Children.
Yes. they
Wow.
do. Instead of, sometimes we let them consume our work, but they have their own work. They can tell stories, they write, they draw, and
Yeah.
so I provide a platform for them to really get published and their work aired out there. Yes.
And is it true that children, when they draw something,
Yeah.
if you look deeper,
Yeah.
they are talking about something
Oh, yes.
in their
They
drawing?
are. They are.
Yeah.
Yes.
That sometimes when they draw even a mom and a dad,
Yes.
and they are dark and all,
Yeah.
if you look around then you see that
There's a message.
there's a dysfunctional
Yes.
situation there.
Yes.
Wow.
They are very perceptive. They observe more than more than they listen to what you tell them. They observe a lot, and they can now express it. They can write what they cannot tell you. They can draw what they cannot tell you. Very deep stuff that will take someone to really interpret and understand. Yeah, they're powerful.
Wow.
Even when Jesus said, "Let the children come to me,"
Yes.
I don't think we give the weight of that statement because he alone knew how much children
How
they are not just to be
important.
seen
And not
and
hard.
not heard.
Yeah.
They can speak even prophecies that sometimes we don't even understand.
We don't give them a chance
We
to
don't give
do
them a chance to.
what they need to do.
Yeah.
Now, you started off well, you are a happy little girl,
Yeah.
and then suddenly you woke up into a dark day,
Yeah.
and it was the darkest day of your life.
Yeah.
And that happy little girl became very sad
Yeah.
and very withdrawn,
Yeah.
and suddenly isolated, never wanted to see anything or anyone. What happened? What drove you from a happy child
Yeah.
into that wanting just to be alone?
Exactly, you put it the right way. I say I was one day I was this 8-year-old girl who just did what 8-year-olds do, you know, got naughty, played and happy and slept and everything that 8-year-olds do. And the following day I woke up this traumatized child who's completely lost in a lot of physical pain but also mental pain because I was raped. At that time I didn't even know it was rape. You know, I woke up and I was bleeding and I was in a lot of physical pain. But then I remember wondering what was that? And there were stories in my community a long time. Even my grandma used to tell me girls used to be circumcised. So I woke up and wondered, was I circumcised? Is that what all girls go through? And I remember thinking, that is horrible. I had my little sister. She could have been, she was 1 or 2 years. She was a baby. And I remember thinking, oh my God, that cannot happen to her when she gets to my age. So it was a horrible, the following day was simply a different kind of thing. It wasn't the same. My life simply changed and I went into this world that I don't think anyone really would know. It's a lonely world, it's a confusing world, it's a very fearful world.
Painful.
Yeah. So I was in there and the following day, the very following day it happened again. And that's when now it hit me that was not circumcision because what I knew circumcision was done and you're put somewhere secluded and you're fed and all. So now this other day I remember fighting and feeling a lot of pain and the person now on top of me and I was pushing back and my you know this 8-year-old is very weak.
Small little
Yeah, I
girl.
think at some point I could have blacked out because when I woke up, they said if you tell your mother, I will do this to your sister and I'll kill your mother, and that I shut up from there. I completely shut up, and I knew this was bad. This I should never tell anyone, and I shut up. So when I started reading, of course before, but then I wasn't a confident reader at all. I didn't even know how to read because this is in the village also.
And you're 8.
I'm 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you don't know any grown stuff.
Yes. I don't
Right.
know anything about. I mean, it was completely dark. all the time.
Don't use your mouth to destroy your marriage. Some of you, all you speak is this marriage will never work. Mimi siku moja tu nitapanga nguo zangu niende nyumbani. Mimi siku moja mimi nitaenda tu. Utamka utanipata. You're sabotaging your own marriage.
In this day that we are living in, a lot of people have given up on marriage. In fact, many people don't think that marriage is necessary. But I have come with a different report. I know that marriage works. What you need is wisdom. The Bible says that by wisdom, a house is built. You need to understand how to operate in the institution of marriage. And Pastor Kathy and I have put together a book that can help you have an excellent marriage and not endure the institution, but enjoy it. It's possible to be happily married. And this book will help put a contribution in how you can be able to operate in your marriage. Please get a hold of this book and begin to win in your marriage. Marriage works.
I recently wrote a book that there is something about this name. The name Jesus is the most powerful name that has been given to us. That at the mention of the name of Jesus, every knee shall bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. When you learn the power of calling on the name of Jesus, when you call him right, you understand that he is not the source of truth. He is truth itself. I tell you, if you get a hold of this book, you will not be able to put it down. It's a book that will give you the knowledge of how to really use this name. When you understand how to use the name of Jesus, there is nothing that will stand in your way that will not bow. It must bow at the name of Jesus. Get this book. You will be blessed. Did you tell anybody? Did you tell your mother?
I couldn't tell my mom because I had been told he would kill her and he would kill my little sister who I adored, you know. One thing, they also had a very dysfunctional marriage, completely. There was a lot of violence, So at this time she had gone, which was a normal, like she would pack and leave.
And leave you guys?
And leave us guys, you know, and then they would go get her later and all. So this was one of the other occasions that she had left.
Right.
Yeah. So in the duration she was, this was happening, the third day when what happened is I kind of started now protecting myself. I remember the third night I went to my brother's, I switched beds with my baby brother. So in their room they shared with my other brother. So I took my little brother who I could carry and put him in my bed, which we shared with my little sister, and then I went to my brother's room and slept there. So that I wouldn't have to go through this. And that became like the norm until my mom came back. It's either I was putting my stuff under the bed and sleeping under the bed, or putting, you know, a table, pushing my door. Like that was my survival mode.
Like sleeping under the bed?
Yes.
Would you hear him at night?
No, I
Trying
wouldn't
to open
hear.
doors?
I wouldn't hear, but I pushed whatever I could push against the door and everything. I remember the following day he would be so upset and tell me, say you should sleep in your own bed, don't go to your brother's bed, and don't do this. And I remember now, I think I started bedwetting. So many things changed at that time. Yeah. So my brother would be like, no, she cannot come to, you know, like when now I want to sleep in their bed to protect myself.
Right.
Be like, no, you bedwet and you're big, you cannot, you know, the way siblings do
So
stuff.
now, of course, so
Yeah.
you're being thrown everywhere.
Everywhere.
And would he still come?
What I remember is it was only the 2 occasions. From there, no. Because the other time when I would always find a way to hide. Yeah. So now, but then what would happen is after that he was not the nice dad who you'd call me his mom. So he became very angry at me, you know.
Because he wasn't getting you
Yeah.
what he wanted.
Yes.
So now he became angry
He
at
became
you.
very harsh. Very
Right,
harsh, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Given an
That's-
opportunity,
Yeah.
do you feel bad not telling your mom at that time? And number 2, having now done even research to see what happens and how pedophiles behave, because he was a pedophile.
Yeah.
would you tell? And why don't kids tell?
You know, children are so trusting. They believe everything, and especially from a parent and someone so close to the family. So if you tell them, you're the first, you're like a god to the child at that time. So whatever you tell them, they believe. So first I had so much fear. I needed first to survive, and I had so much fear my mom would die. So I wouldn't have to, I didn't tell her. Sometimes I look back, I think, I don't know whether if I had, now when, because she died also, she died when I was 16. And I remember thinking maybe if I had told her, would it have killed her or something? Yeah, when I'm a grown up, I think it's a very painful thing. Incidentally, I remember when I was about 14, she came and asked me, and she was asking me, now I was with my brother-in-law, she asked me, has your dad ever done something bad to you? She asked me that. And of course, my brother was there, who's like, we just have a year difference.
Yeah.
I'm like, this was supposed to be a very secret. I said no, and I took off.
Yeah.
But I remember she wanted, and even at that age, when she asked me, I think I could read in her eyes, she hopes I say no. Like this is not a weight she could carry.
handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember she asked me, and she looked, but then they had divorced and separated. What I didn't know is that they were planning to remarry and get back together at that time, which happened now. And I went to school, come back, oh, they have moved on. But now my grandma comes in, and I remember saying, Karimi is not following in, she's not going anywhere. You take your children, but she's staying with me. Yeah. So
When was the first time you ever brought it out? And was it disturbing you?
it never went anywhere. To date, I could say I'm still in the process of healing and towards complete healing, but it's something that it's a scar, it's a wound that just doesn't go anywhere. So there was a time it was very present, especially when I was very young, maybe in the first 10 years of that. Anything that happened, I would relate back. You know, when we became teenagers, adolescents, and we are being taught about how girls get pregnant, I remember panicking. I'm like, oh my God, I must be pregnant. You know, this is a 12-year-old thinking. It was always present.
Yeah.
When now the story, our time now, HIV stories came up around late 80s or 90s, something. I remember feeling panic. I'm like, oh, I could be HIV positive. I mean, everything just would come back to that.
No matter how many years ago?
No matter how many years ago. Yeah.
So it affected you as a person.
Yeah.
Did it affect your decisions, the decisions you made in life?
Most definitely, it did. It did. Other than, of course, being very withdrawn to a level of looking like you are a deaf person or mute, because when the early years I couldn't talk at all. I was very withdrawn. It affected many, even in class. Of course, you can talk, you can't do much other than read and just do your exam and pass. But as now a young woman, it became very distrustful of men and even women, just grown-ups. I became very distrustful, very fearful. It affected the kind of relationships I had now as a young person, as a young woman. I remember, you know, in campus when everybody's dating and doing this, I first of all couldn't really date, and sometimes you end up, as you grow up and start interacting with men, it was easier to deal with people who are not nice, bad boys, than the nice guys. Yes.
So if somebody like showed they loved you, you were like...
I'm like, no, because I don't know what kind of pain they will bring. So the rough ones, we can be rough and all, but the nice, decent guys who just want to love you and be nice to you, I'm like, no, I don't trust. They are fattening me for slaughter. I could not trust them at all.
You felt they were fattening you for slaughter?
Yes, they were I could not trust them.
So now, did you ever open your mouth and tell somebody at some point, even when you grew up?
Yeah. When I was in high school, there was a girl, well, I can't share a story because it's still private to her, but we kind of connected. She'd gone through, not rape, but something trauma as well with the dad, watching something, the dad doing something like that. And that traumatized her. And for some reason we connected. And we started sharing and talking about stuff. And I remember she opened up that, and I also now shared with her. That was the only person I shared with up to now, when I was maybe 35, which is just the other day that I shared it. I wrote about it. I wrote about it in different forums, in the Parents magazine, in Drum magazine, and I wrote about it in The Nation, because I do write a column once now. I wrote about it. So I shared that. That was the second time really I shared about it.
Did any member of the family see that?
Yeah, they saw, especially the very first time I wrote about it. That brought a lot of shock. I know my brother was very angry, like really had to be constrained, not to use like a firearm or something. But it was because he felt my mom had gone through so much through this father of ours, and then now my sister has had to live with this kind of pain. So it brought a lot of that. Yeah. I know a few people asked me, so are you talking about it? I mean, this is not something you share with everyone. And I said, actually, this is the thing I'm going to shout about.
Because that's what's killing.
Yes, it's
a lot
what's
of women.
healing. I still see children today going through that. Like, it's because of that secrecy and stigma and everything. It becomes a secret, and that's why it will thrive, so
because
long as we keep quiet.
Yes, pedophiles thrive in secret.
They thrive in secrecy.
So they do that, nobody says anything. They go
Yes.
and do to somebody else, nobody says anything. A woman the other day told us that she encountered that.
Yeah.
She spoke about it when she was 50 years old.
Wow.
And when she opened her mouth to speak about it, her sister said it happened to her. The same time it was happening to the older one, it was happening to the younger one. And they couldn't talk. She spoke when she was 50 years old.
Wow, yeah.
These pedophiles need to be exhumed from, you know, like...
Yes, and they thrive in secrecy.
Yeah.
And you know, Reverend Kathy, what I learned is very, very few men are capable of hurting a child in that manner, or in any, or even a woman. They are not capable of rape. I mean, very few men. But the few that are rapists or pedophiles, they become serious. They will hurt more than one. They will hurt so many others. It's not just. It's not just one.
No.
They always have a serial.
trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they become serial pedophiles.
Yes.
Because nobody's saying anything.
No one is saying
because,
anything.
Oh, we are African.
Yeah.
You know, Africans
These
don't
are
talk.
things you don't talk about.
These are family stuff.
These are family stuff.
Yeah.
These are very shameful things.
Yeah.
And you know, also as a victim, you walk with a lot of shame. Yet you had no.
I mean, you
are not
8.
to blame at all.
Yeah.
That was 8. Even a grown-up woman being raped, she has no contribution to that.
But she feels so ashamed,
so shameful,
so embarrassed,
and now shuts up about it.
Yeah. So now, Karimi, you're saying that people should rise up and talk about it so that these pedophiles can be jailed or done whatever it is that they need to be done by law.
Yes.
Isn't it?
By law, and children protected. The first time when I wrote about it in The Nation, now, because that was a bigger reach, so many people wrote to me. People I've never met and all, but they just wrote to me. And men, actually, a lot of them, some were saying they were raped when they were 6 years by the house help, sodomized by I don't know who. I mean, a lot of that came out. And I wondered how many people are living in so much pain. And they wrote and said, it's because I don't know you, you don't know me, my family doesn't know, but I'm sharing it with you. And it is the reason. When it comes to me, I drink a lot, or, you know, they just have a way of dealing with the pain.
Right.
Yeah. So many people have gone through that. Yeah.
So now you're out here trying to help children.
Yeah. I feel the least I can do is, first of all, my mission is to kind of find a way to bring healing and restoration and in families in a way that the children in there are protected. Because I feel in my situation, my parents are really dysfunctional marriage. If there was some kind of healing, if this person that hurt me that way, I believe also went through some kind of hurt when they were a child, when they're young, and they did not receive healing. So mine is to find how can I bring voice to the children, or a way to highlight the issues that children go through so that they are protected. If you are not protected as a child, it will be propagated. Or if you're not healed, you end up hurting others,
Right.
you know, as you grow up.
Yes,
Yeah.
because hurting people hurt
Hurt others, yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Until your mind changes, your life will never change.
Did you know that your thoughts hold the master key to the life that you desire? Just think about it. If you want to change your life, you must change the way you think. Did you also know that experience is not the best teacher, but wisdom is?
I am so excited to be bringing to you my latest book. I'm calling it Think on These Things.
In his new book, Bishop Allen has put together a collection of power thoughts, insights, perspectives, and practical applicable wisdom drawn from his exciting years of experience. Inside the book, you will find deep insights on the power of purpose, integrity, self-leadership, excellence, the power of the mind, among others.
Truth is a universal commodity. Wherever it is applied, it produces the same results.
A while ago, I wrote a beautiful book on celebrate yourself. And I've come to realize if you don't know how to celebrate yourself, nobody will celebrate you. If you don't know how to enjoy yourself as a single person, you will not enjoy yourself as a married person. You need to embrace you. The Bible says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Meaning, you cannot love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. It's all about you first. If you love you, you can accommodate others. This book is going to bless you. It will show you how to celebrate yourself because you're all that and a bag of chips and a dip on the side. So you're out here and what you're doing right now is helping children discover their talents and run towards that direction.
Yeah.
And you also write books for kids.
I do.
And also, for mature people, of
Yeah.
course. What kind of books and how would you tell parents to be involved
Yeah.
with their children right now so that they don't have to go through what you did?
Of course, first is learn to know discipline vis-a-vis abuse. Because sometimes abuse is not just the sexual abuse. Even the one we think we are disciplining our child and beat them so much that they become fearful. So we need to learn to talk to them and with them, not just at them and to them, but with them. Basics like how was your day today? What was nice today? What didn't you like? What, having that open conversation, the children will start opening up and say, somebody touched me here and I didn't feel comfortable. And you notice abuse starts subtle like that. Yeah, somebody did a touch. Yeah, a touch or telling them, touch me here. So that is all forms of abuse. But when there is open conversations between parents and children, children then will feel safe enough to open up. If we are not too harsh, if we learn to discipline and not punish, then children will be open enough to open up and tell you this happened. But if we are very harsh, then they are fearful. Because the first thing for child to protect themselves is fear. And when they feel fear, they close up. They don't talk. Yeah. So we need to be able to, as parents, to raise our children in a way that they are not fearful in
to
our
give them a safe space.
Yes, a safe space. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, you as Karimi,
Yeah.
You're saying you're still in the healing process.
Yeah.
1 out of 10.
Yeah.
10 being, good,
Yeah.
and 1 being bad.
Yeah.
Where are you?
I would probably say 7. 7.
7 is not bad.
7 is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
7
think
is
the
not bad.
first healing has come with learning the grace of forgiveness.
That's where I was going now.
Yeah.
To ask you,
Yeah.
like how far have you forgiven?
Yeah.
And number 2, have you ever met your father after
Yeah.
that?
I keep saying my story, I need to put it in a book. I'm busy making books, so I should put it. I met, I wouldn't say I have really, no, because we have not had a face-to-face. And after I feel now that I have forgiven and I'm able to go back and ask what led him to that and what pain has he had to live with for him to inflict that kind of pain, then that's when I know I've forgiven. And it's actually a burden that I'd said I want to be able to have a meeting this year and just ask him, tell me about how did you grow up? Tell me about your life, because why did you do this? Why you abused? Or why did you do that? You know, are you aware that maybe did you think I would grow up and even talk about? You know, like just ask a lot of questions. Yeah.
Do you struggle with those questions in your mind?
I do. I struggle with them a lot. I'm like, why did that happen? Who else did that? Did he do that too? You know, I have a lot of those questions. And the people that have gone through that, have they healed or have they gone to inflict pain to others? Because if without that healing, then you'd either become a very bitter person, you become hurtful to others in different ways. For women, it may not be physical hurt, but we could be, I think, emotional abusers or something without finding the healing. Yes.
Abusing the
The men.
because of the kind
Yes.
of abuse you went through
Yeah.
yourself.
And then
Right.
just perpetuating a cycle of abuse of that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. So it's.
Did you ever ask your sister whether
She was so young, she doesn't remember, but no, because they divorced shortly after, so I have asked her, yeah. But we used to have other cousins we lived with, and I've always felt the burden of sitting down and asking them, was it just me that went through this, or did you actually go through this?
Right.
Yeah, because they were older than me, you know, yeah.
So asking whether he did the same thing
Yeah,
to them.
yeah.
Okay, tell me, what has given you that courage now to be able to confidently come out and say, hey, my father did this to me, and you know, I don't want it to happen to any other child anywhere?
I would say, first, it's really living through a lot of pain and now really needing to heal, and talking and even sitting with a counselor, and then when they tell me it should not be a secret, a secret still keeps you a victim of that abuse. You have to survive, and to survive it, you have to talk about it, and so I started talking about it from knowing my talking can actually help somebody heal or even report, and just knowing keeping it a secret will only make it worse for me and for other people, either abusing or being abused. So I think really talking about it was it's my healing process of moving from a victim to a survivor of this incident. Yeah.
You now got married
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
and you have children
Yes,
of your own.
Yeah.
Here is my question. Are you raising them up with that kind of fear? Does it torment you knowing that, you know, not necessarily a dad, it could be, because they say pedophiles are not far.
Yeah.
You don't go through pedophiles that are far from you. They are either very close friends or,
Yeah.
or you know, uncles, fathers,
Yeah.
brothers, relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you fear that?
The thing is, yeah, I think I remember our eldest, she's 16 now. I remember I was so fearful as she grew up. I kept telling her, I would ask her, has anyone touched you? Has anyone done this? All the time until she told me, Mom, nobody has touched me, no one. so that I realized, okay, maybe I was bringing some fear into them. But it's a conversation I have had with them and I continue to have with them, and tell them anything that we keep covered is private. No one should touch you. You wash yourself in these areas, you know, all that. And there's some conversations that no one should have with you because those are grown-ups. And anyone, when I say no one should touch you there, anyone, not even me, your mother, not even your dad, not, you know, those are private. It's private because it's private, it's your private body. Yeah, so it's a conversation I've had to have with them.
Did you ever tell them what you've gone through?
I told now my daughter, who's a teenager.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, she's reading. She will Google my work and she'll see and she'll come across it. So I sat down and we had a talk, and she was, of course, very heartbroken. And I told her about sometimes why people could hurt others and what kind of pain they could have, and it's not acceptable at all. Anything to do with pain, someone has to heal, otherwise they will then end up hurting. Yeah. And she felt, of course, very sorry for me. So, yeah.
Do you feel sorry for yourself?
And I used to, but I don't think I feel pity, for me. There are times I wonder, what if I didn't go through such a dark space? What kind of person would I be? Would I have been a better person? Would I have been a more confident? I don't know. I ask those questions. But I don't think I feel sorry, because I also know there's always God was in charge and he saw it happen. So there must have been a purpose for that. It wasn't just for the sake of. There must have been a purpose, and he chose me for a reason. So when I look back and I ask God, okay, then I need clarity on what was the purpose for this. I need clarity on that, so that it's not just wasted pain. Yeah.
Have you ever come across people who've gone through it that you've had to help?
No, incidentally not. Not when I have really healed and learned about trauma healing.
Right.
It was before many people would open up to me. I remember one man, we were in campus and met him, and I was asking, Mr. You're almost 45 and you're still single, and what's happening? And we talked for a long time, and at some point, I think he broke down, and I was shocked. Then he told me what he went through. So I keep feeling I need to now be able to sit with him and find whether I can help. Yeah.
So you see, that's why I'm asking, because
Yeah.
a lot of times what we go through,
Yeah.
we always find people that we are able to, help come out
Yeah.
of their situation. So it's never wasted. There's nothing that we ever go through
Yeah.
that is wasted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Karimi, what would you like to tell a man or a woman who is a pedophile?
Oh, wow. Sometimes back I would have said I would shoot you and stuff, but today I would have to tell them they need to deal with the pain that they are dealing with. It's going to eat them up, because they are passing that pain to other people. Because a lot of pedophiles, it's not just a mental disorder, it's a pain they have that's eating them up, and now they are passing on to others, So I would have to tell them they need to face their pain and deal with it. Yeah, and passing it on to others, of course, there is the law that is there to protect other people. Yeah.
Because when they are caught up with they go through so much hell.
Yeah.
So the cycle continues.
Yeah.
And it goes on and on.
Yeah.
So it's better to face it, deal with it,
Yeah.
so that you don't go hurting others. Because
Yeah.
hurting people
Hurt others.
others.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you write about? You're a writer?
Yeah.
What do you write about?
Well, I believe everybody has a story, not just one. Everybody has 1,000,001 stories in them.
Yes.
And stories bring healing. They bring healing to the author of the story, but to other people that read the story. So I help actually people write their stories. Whatever stories, whether it is just about personal memoir or personal stories of something that they've gone through, because everybody has a story, but not everybody can actually write the story, using the normal writing, creative writing styles and all. So my work is to help people now write their stories, to share with others for inspiration, for healing. Yeah.
Yes.
I also do write for children. I've written books for children, which are being used in schools, mostly about identity. Most of the books I've done is about self-identity, but in a child-friendly manner. Yeah. Yeah.
Or child identity.
Yeah,
for them
like
to
self-identity.
know
Yeah. Yeah. Like one is about little Tithin, it's a tree that wants to dance and run around like the butterflies in the forest. But then the grandfather reminds Tithinda that you're a tree, you cannot run, you're stuck. And in that process they figure, there's actually something a tree can do and thrive, and they learn the wind game, and they realize only trees can play that game, and and she's now happy and comfortable to be a tree that can dance and,
Yes.
and speak to the wind. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So where did you find God in all this, your pain?
He was always present. There was always a feeling of so much love from him. And I may not have indicated that verbally, like when people say I'm saved, I'm a Christian. In fact, I used to say saved from what? I mean, he didn't save me from a situation, so saved from what? But I always felt him, always. And at some point, I would turn and cry to him and talk to him, and I would feel a calmness. So I always found him, and I always felt he was with me throughout. I think it's only probably the last 10 years that I've really come to have a relationship with him. I would say I am fortunate or favored to have married a man who really loved God and loves God and is the kind of husband who'd be like, we are going to church. If you want to remain behind, you need to know my home, everybody's going to church.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a church person and stuff like that. So it was only through that also then, you find you have a relationship that has grown for me in the last 10 years because of that. Yeah.
So you love God now.
I love God.
So
I am a follower of Christ. I love God.
so
Yeah.
I want you to look at that camera and just talk to a girl
Yeah.
who's gone through your kind of situation,
Yeah.
sexually abused by their father,
Yeah.
or somebody close.
Yeah.
What would you tell her?
It's not easy. Let nobody tell you that this is something you need to put behind you and move on. It's something you have to face. It's not easy, but you can heal, and you need to seek healing, seek professional help. Talk to a counselor, talk about it. It's not a secret. It's nothing to be ashamed about. Talk about it, share with somebody, and seek help, and talk to God. Ask him why he let that happen to you. And then you can start your healing, and you can move on, and you can thrive. You can live and be happy and joyous, even if that has happened. But you need to seek that healing. Yeah. And forgive.
And forgive.
Forgiveness is a process, but you can learn to forgive.
Did it take you long?
It took long. It took a long time, because I felt if I forgive, it's like I've allowed it, I've okayed it. So I had to learn that first forgiveness is a process. It's a process of the healing journey, and it's about me not being bitter, finding my healing and finding my joy, and knowing that God also forgives me for other stuff I might do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. And so you've heard, wherever you are, whoever has done things against you, don't blame yourself. Because this is where, everything just goes haywire. When you take it upon yourself and think it's your fault, girls blame themselves, I
Yeah.
sat badly. No, a pedophile is a pedophile. You don't
Yeah.
have to even sit for them to be a pedophile.
Yeah.
But you don't need to blame yourself and feel sorry for yourself. Like Karimi has said, find a healing, go talk to a counselor, forgive, allow the Spirit of God to guide you, lead you, and at the end of the day, Joyce Meyer went through it. Her father raped her over 200 times. But today, she's a healer. And she goes telling everybody, look, you can get healed from this situation. And she's the one who actually led the father to Christ. She's the one who buried him when he died. She baptized him before that. And so you can forgive. And so it's possible for you to come out of that and rise up and become a healer to others. May the good Lord bless you. This is Woman Without Limits. Have a beautiful week.
You're a woman